Do you know why this dad carries his son through college? If you're thinking it's because he doesn't have a wheelchair for his kid, you'd be wrong. Well, actually, that's not exactly true. So, what is it then? What's the real reason behind this man's actions? Keep listening and we'll tell you. Long, long ago in China, there was a man who had a son. He really loved his boy. He played with him, taught him life lessons, read him bedtime stories, everything a father would normally do. But when his son grew up, he stopped reading him bedtime stories. Instead, he began teaching him how to take care of himself, how to live his life, and how to make something of himself one day. You see, the dad wanted his son to become a successful man, a man who would make him proud. And as a parent, he thought the best way to raise a child is by making sure they receive the best education possible. But there was a problem. When their son turned 6 years old, he was diagnosed with a condition that left him paralyzed from the waist down and unable to walk. Hearing this news, the dad felt like the ground beneath him was crumbling. How will my son get an education if he can't even walk? He asked himself. For a while, the dad didn't know the answer to this question. He spent most of his time taking care of his son, and he felt like he was wasting away, slowly losing himself. But one day, he realized that no matter how difficult it might be, he couldn't give up, not only for himself but for his son as well. After all, he had to make sure his son would have a good future. So the dad made a decision. Every day, no matter what, he would carry his son on his back and take him to school. It didn't matter if it took him hours or even the entire day. In the beginning, the mother didn't agree with this plan. She said, "You don't have to do this. There are special schools for children like our son." However, the dad knew that those schools weren't that great. The teachers didn't care much about the kids. They simply showed up to work and did the bare minimum. He also knew that these schools lacked basic supplies and that his son wouldn't get the quality education he deserved. So the dad ignored his wife's protests and began carrying his son to school every single day. He walked several kilometers with his son on his back, enduring all kinds of weather conditions: scorching sun, freezing cold, wind and rain. It didn't matter. This dad was determined to give his son the best education he could. Over the years, the boy grew up listening to his father's footsteps as he walked him to school. He listened to the birds singing and the rabbits hopping around them. The boy learned about the world this way, even though he never got to experience it firsthand. When the boy started middle school, he told his dad he wanted to walk to school by himself. Of course, this request made the dad sad. It meant his little boy was growing up, but he knew it was for the best. So he took his son aside, gave him a big hug, and told him, "All right, son, it's time for you to start walking to school by yourself. I believe you can do it." And just like that, the boy began walking to school all by himself. However, he never walked alone. Every day on his way to school, he met with other kids who helped him move forward. Sometimes it was a girl who would hold his hand and help him cross the street. Sometimes it was a boy who would push him on his tricycle. And sometimes it was an old woman who would lend him her walking stick. This dad was so happy to see how his son had grown up into such a kind and helpful young man. But he was also worried about what would happen when his son went to college. How would he get there? Would people help him as much as they did in school? All these questions were running through the dad's head. But he didn't want his son to know about them, so he kept them to himself. The day finally came when the boy graduated from middle school and was accepted to a prestigious university. The dad was very happy for his son, but he couldn't help but worry about how he would get to college. Even though his son would be studying just a few kilometers from home, it would still take him hours to get there. However, the dad never let his worries show. On the day of his son's graduation, he bought him a new backpack, a water bottle, and some snacks. Just like any other proud dad, he told his son, "Hey, son, no matter where life takes you, remember that I'm always proud of you." The boy hugged his dad and replied, "Of course, Dad. I'm going to make you proud. Just wait and see." Then he left for college. For the first few weeks, the dad saw his son coming home from college with bruises on his knees, dirt on his clothes, and a big smile on his face. He knew his son was having the time of his life, and that all the effort was worth it. But as the weeks went by, the dad noticed his son was coming home later and later. One day, he waited up for his son, and when he finally came home, he asked him, "Hey, son, why are you coming home so late? Is everything all right?" The boy looked at his feet and replied, "Well, I'm sorry, Dad, but the truth is I haven't been going to college lately. I've been hanging out with my friends instead." The dad was shocked. He couldn't believe his son had lied to him. He asked again, "Are you serious? Why haven't you been going to college?" The boy looked up at his dad and said, "I'm sorry, Dad, but it's just that college is so far away. I can't get there on my own, and my friends don't want to help me anymore. They're tired of it." The dad felt like his heart was breaking. He couldn't believe his son would put him in this situation. But then he took a deep breath and said, "Don't worry, son, Dad will find a way to get you to college." And just like that, the dad carried his son on his back and walked him to college every single day. At first, the boy was ashamed of his dad, but then he realized his dad was doing it for him. He was doing it because he loved him and wanted him to have a good future. So the boy stopped being ashamed and began helping his dad. He helped him take off his shoes, gave him water, and made sure he ate something before they left. The dad appreciated his son's help, but he never let him carry the burden alone. He knew his son was going through a tough time and needed all the help he could get. One day, someone took a picture of the dad carrying his son on his back and posted it online. The photo went viral and people from all over the country began sending them food, water, and money. Some people even offered to buy the boy a wheelchair, but the dad refused. He didn't need a wheelchair. He needed a good education. Many years passed and the boy graduated from college. He got a job and began living on his own. But no matter where life took him, he never forgot the sacrifices his dad made for him. He visited his dad every week and made sure he took care of him. Now here's the thing. The dad carried his son through college for two reasons. The first reason was because he wanted his son to have a good education. The second reason was because he wanted his son to be proud of him. But here's the question. Which reason do you think was more important to the dad? Was it more important for him to give his son a good education, or for his son to be proud of him? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to stay tuned for more heartwarming stories just like this one.